original state that you were at the time of loss, right? So basically, in plain simple terms, is that you cannot gain any profit from insurance. It will just bring you back to where you were. Okay, so that's a very important principle as well. So you've got principle of utmost good faith, insurable interest, nature of contract, loss mitigation, contribution, that's 5, subrogation, cause proxima, and indemnity, that's 8. Do we have 8 principles of insurance?
The nature of contract is not a principle of insurance.
Nature of contract is not a principle. So this is not a principle of insurance. Nature of contract, so insurance is basically a contract. It's essentially a contract between two parties, right? One party is agreeing to pay premium, which is the insured. The second party, which is the insurer, is agreeing to provide insurance in case of a financial loss. So that's it. It is a contract. It is a legally binding contract, right? It's not like written on a piece of paper on a napkin or something like that. But that's not a principle of insurance. These are the 7 principles of insurance that we need to keep in mind. Any questions on this before we move on to the next topic? All right. Are any other questions from the topics that we discussed yesterday? Risk, hazard, peril, account life cycle, common insurance terms, why is deductible necessary? Any questions? Okay. And I'll just mention again, I appreciate Arjun you being on camera. I would request if others can also come on camera. All right. Which is the biggest company in India?
Insurance company is AIG.
Okay, AIG is okay.
LIC is also there in insurance field.
I did not ask about. I did not ask about insurance. Biggest company in India across all sectors.
Reliance.
Reliance, right? Okay. Now, biggest insurance company in India. One of you mentioned AIG. AIG technically is not an Indian registered company. They
LIC.
LIC.
Tata AIG.
Yeah, they have a partnership with Tata. So, because of the FDI rules of the government for foreign direct investment, we cannot have more than 49% foreign direct investment in any corporation, right? So, whenever you will see, there are plenty of examples: Maruti Suzuki, Hero Honda, Tata AIG, Toyota Kirloskar. There's so many examples, right? They all will tie up with a local Indian business because they cannot have more than 49% stake as part of FDI rule that the government has. So that's why AIG is not allowed to sell policies in India on its own. They need to tie up with someone. So they are tied up with, I think, Tata. They are tied up with AIA also, if I'm not mistaken. Tata has tied up with AIA and Tata has tied up with AIG both. Anyways, that's a different conversation. In terms of the largest insurance company, one of you mentioned LIC, right? That's a government sector. Private, anyone knows? Forget about the largest, the most common one. SBI is also government sector. Bajaj Finance, okay.
HDFC.
HDFC, okay. These are all banks which are providing insurance, right? Core insurance companies.
Max Life Insurance.
Max Life Insurance, okay. Right. See, we struggle to find out non-governmental insurance company names in India, right? And that is true because there are very few. Most of the insurance companies that we have in India, because of the historical strategies of the way it was basically placed, everything was nationalized. So most of the insurance companies, LIC, you have Oriental, you have couple more. I am also forgetting the names. All of them are mostly public sector insurance companies. Anyways, the point I was trying to make here is look at Reliance and take the example of the largest insurance company in India, maybe combine like the top 3 or 4 insurance companies together. Even after you combine 2-3 top insurance companies in India, do you think they will be able to provide insurance to entire Reliance industry? Like no matter how much premium Reliance is willing to pay, does, let's say, a company like ICICI Lombard, for example, I will say, or Royal Sundaram, do these companies have the, and I'll use a Hindi word, auqad, to kind of insure Reliance? Do you think they will be ever be able to do that?
No, not possible.
Not possible, right? Because Reliance is like 10 times, 20 times bigger than them. So, because if any claims happen, that insurance company will shut down in paying that claim itself. So, how, but Reliance needs insurance. Reliance cannot work without insurance. So, what will happen? How will Reliance get insurance?
2-3 company can provide insurance.
2-3 companies can provide insurance. And that's also a principle of insurance, which we just talked about, contribution, right? It may be 2-3, it can be 10 different companies, it can be 5-6. The number is not fixed, it can be any number. Whatever will be able to basically fulfill the requirement that Reliance would have as part of their insurance requirements, right? So, as part of principle of contribution, multiple companies can come together and provide insurance to a single company. Multiple insurers will come together to provide insurance to the insured. Does that make sense? Come together to provide insurance to the insured. Now, how do we decide, or rather, who decides which insurance companies are going to come together? And when they are coming together, what is going to be their contribution? What is going to be their piece of the pie? Let's say it's a pie. Which company is going to take what piece of the cake? Who is going to decide that?
Who's providing the maximum premium or policy?
Whoever is providing the maximum premium. So, for example, if I am insurance company A, I am providing the maximum limit. Can I dictate to the insured that you cannot take insurance company B, but you should take insurance company C? Can I do that? No?
No.
Okay, then who decides that?
Policy holder.
Insured itself.
Insured itself. Okay. Policy holder, which is insured. Any other answers?
Can it be that it forms a point of negotiation in the initial stage itself?
Mm-hmm. Negotiation with whom?
Each other. Like if I am the insured, insurer would ask if you are reinsuring somewhere else, and this should be the clause for it. And the second insuring company also should agree. Only then it goes forward. Is it how it is?
Not really. So what you're talking about is a little bit different, which is reinsurance. But this is not reinsurance. We are talking about primary insurance right now. So that's a little different. We'll not get into that discussion right now. Think about the account life cycle.
The underwriter in terms of the insurer.
but I am the underwriter for AIG. I do not like company B. I will tell you, don't take company B, you take company C. But should I do that? Is that ethical? Is that something that can be done? Is the basic question. Think of the account life cycle.
Broker.
Broker. Why is broker in the middle, right? The insured will not have the time and energy and the expertise to go into the market and understand which company is providing me the best coverage, which company is providing me the best option. They do not have the time to go and talk to 5 different underwriters, right? You give me this percentage, you give me this percentage, you give me that percentage. That is the job of the broker. The broker will structure the entire policy so that Reliance, which is the insured, eventually gets whatever they need in terms of insurance coverage. Broker will be the person or the company rather which will determine the policy structure. Right? They will negotiate with all the underwriters of various companies. They might negotiate with 10 different companies, eventually agree on with 4 different companies, bring them to a table, common ground, and say you are getting this percentage, you are getting that percentage, you are getting this, you are getting that. Okay? So we are going to talk about policy structure. Now, how a policy structure can be defined and how we are going to do that. So, typically, when we see a policy document, and I don't know how many of you would have already seen it as part of your submissions that you get from your underwriter, you would have definitely seen maybe a couple of them. So, we write the policy in a, or rather, in the policy, it is written in a specific way, right? So, there are two things: insurer share, part of layer limit, excess of attachment point. I will explain each and every element here, or we can also call it as insurer participation percentage, part of layer limit, excess of attachment point. Just make a note of this. This is your nomenclature. This is like a nomenclature or format how it will be represented in the document, in the policy document. Yes, Amisha, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I have one doubt. Like, suppose in Reliance only, a few part or few some like suppose some 5% got damaged, and 4 insurance companies there who will claim that. So will all they come on table to contribute on them on this, or some particular some company will come? Like, what is the parameter of that?
Great question. And that's exactly what we are going to discuss in the next 30-45 minutes. So, I mean, it's a very valid, very fair question. And this is what I am going to explain over the next 30 minutes. You will get your answer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, this is how we are basically mentioning or reporting the policy structure in the document. Right? Insurer share, part of layer limit, excess of attachment point, or insurer participation percentage, part of layer limit, excess of attachment point. Now, what do I mean by when I say layer limit, attachment point, insurer share, and all that, right? So we'll talk about that. So whenever we talk about policy structure, we try to demonstrate that or depict that in a I will use the word graphical. It is not really a graphical way, but we'll try to do a box diagram kind of a thing to kind of represent how a policy looks like. So let's say a very simple example. I have a policy. I am the owner of a restaurant. I have a policy with AIG, and my policy limit is $100 million. Right? I have a huge restaurant. $100 million is the policy limit. And AIG is the only company that is providing insurance to me. There is no other company that is providing insurance to me. If I want to represent this in a box diagram, I will start with 0. I'll go up to 100 million, right? I'll start with 0. I'll go up to 100 million, and I'll say this entire box is basically 100% AIG, right? I have a policy with AIG of 100 million, starting from 0, going up to 100. I will say that this entire box, blue box, is 100% AIG. So far, this looks good. And thank you, Shilpa, for coming on cam. Any questions so far? Great. So to Amisha's question earlier, if there is even a $10 loss, AIG will pay that $10 loss, right? Because AIG is participating completely, or AIG is taking the whole policy with itself. There is no contribution here. It's a single insurance company. If I want to represent this in the words that we have here, in the format that we have in the word, insurer share. What is AIG's share here?
100%.
100%. And in terms of amount, it is 100 million. Right? I'll just add the word M also there. So 100 million is insurer share, and now it says part of layer limit. Now we have to understand what a layer is, right? So when we look at a box diagram, and maybe I'll just go here and I'll draw the same thing. Now is 2 and 3 same? This one and this one, are they the same thing? No. They are not, right? What is the difference?
In the first 50% will be paid by someone, and the second will be paid by some other company.
Okay. And
in the second one, if it is 1% also, equal, it will be divided like 0.5% by AIG and 0.5 by one more company.
Correct. So this is where we talk about splitting this into a horizontal thing or a vertical split, right? Whenever we do a horizontal split, we are creating layers. So in the first diagram, it is just one layer, right? Here we have got 2 layers, okay? This is layer 1 and this is layer 2, okay? And when we split it vertically, then we do not create a layer. This is still only a single layer. It's not 2 layers, right? Layer is always a horizontal cut. So when you cut horizontally, you are having layer 1, layer 2. You can have layer 3, 4, 5, n number. But when you are cutting it vertically, it's not 2 layers. It is called as quota share. I think Raghu, you were mentioning that. This is where if any loss happens, even a $10 loss happens, $5 yellow, $5 blue. Because you are equal partners here. But if this is the structure of your policy, then until 50 million, yellow will not pay anything, because yellow is only liable to pay after the 50 million mark. So if a loss exceeds 50 million, yellow will come into picture. As long as the loss is less than 50 million, blue is only in the picture. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right? When you split horizontally, it's layers. When you split vertically, it is quota share. We'll try to write this in the format that we saw here. Let's say layer 1, this is 50, this is layer 1, this is going to be 100%. I will not use the word AIG, I will use the word blue and yellow so that we are referring to colors only. Is this clear? All right, so let's try to write this in this particular format, right? So if I just do the first diagram, this will be insurer share is 100 million. Part of what's my layer limit now? 1. Layer limit is 1.
100%.
100%.
0.
0. Okay. All right. When I say layer 100 million, right? When I say layer limit, we are talking about the starting point and the end point. Just give me 1 second. When you're talking about layer limit, we are talking about the difference between the topmost point and the starting point for that layer. So the starting point of this layer is 0. The topmost point of this layer is 100 million. The difference between those two is 100 million. So your layer limit in this example will be 100 million part of 100 million. And I just mentioned that your attachment point is your starting point. So in this case, it is 0. This is how you will represent this in a document. The second way is just insurer participation percentage, which is very straightforward. This is 100% part of 100 million, excess of 0. Right? Any questions on this? Cool. Then let's try to do the second one. Anybody wants to try for blue? What will be the format for blue? What is the insurer share for blue in the second diagram?
100% part of 50 million.
100%
Part of 50 million.
part of 50 million,
Excess 0.
excess 0. Okay, anybody else? $50 million, part of 50 million, excess 0 for blue. Okay. Any other answer? Okay, what would be for yellow then?
100 million, 50 million part of 100 million excess 50 million.
50 million part of 100 million excess of
50 million.
and there was somebody else who was saying something.
The blue one will be 50 million part of 100 million excess 0.
For blue one, it will be 50 million.
I mean, the first one I only said, so you can.
That's fine. We'll keep it 50 million part of 100 million excess of 0. Okay. Any other answers for blue? Okay. What do we want to write for yellow then? In terms of percentage, in terms of amount, this is the format. How do we want to represent yellow?
100% part of 100 million excess 50 million only.
100% part of 100 million excess 50 million. Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
100% part of 50 million excess 50 million.
100% part of 50 million excess 50 million. Okay.
$50 million percent part of 100 million excess 50 million.
All right. So it's the same as the first one, right? Razak, what you mentioned is the same as the first one that we wrote.
Yeah. Sorry, 50% actually. I meant. Like I was telling for insurer party.
Okay. 50% part of 100 million excess of this thing. Okay. Good. Anybody else? Scroll up a little bit so that you can see the diagram.
Sunit, may I know what is the meaning of attachment point?
Attachment point means from where your it's your starting point, right? So when we look at the diagram, yeah, it's a starting point for that layer.
Okay, done. Thank you.
Any other answers? I just try to give more context here. Layer limit is like the topmost point of the layer minus the attachment point of the layer. Okay. Any other answers for blue or yellow in the second diagram? Now, at least all of you will understand that there is a variety of answers, right? So not everything can be correct. Maybe some of them are correct, some of them may not be correct. So let's try to look at this. Insurer share. Now, when we talk about blue, we are talking about layer 1. Agree? Our focus will only be on layer 1. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right, because we are talking about blue, our focus will only be on the blue highlighted area, which is layer 1. Now, if I only look at the blue in isolation, right, let me just, for the sake of discussion, if I look at this in isolation, what is my insurer share?
100%.
100%. In amount?
50 million.
50
50
million.
million. What is my layer limit? And I just mentioned layer limit is topmost point of layer minus attachment point of layer.
50 million.
50 minus 0, right? So my insurer share is 100% or 50 million. My layer limit is also 50 million. And what's my attachment point?
0.
0.
0. So 50 million to 50 million excess of 0 or 100% part of 50 million excess of 0. These are the two correct ways to highlight this. Okay. This 50 million part of 100 million. So when we say part of 100 million, we are saying that the layer limit is 100 million. But is that the case? Because we are talking only about blue. For blue, what is the layer? This is the layer. So the layer limit cannot be 100 million for blue. The layer limit for blue is only 50 million. Starting point, topmost point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But this is not correct because
ಹೌದು.
this is not
ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೊಡೋದು ನೀವು
as per the layer limit. The layer limit is incorrect here.
ಹೌದಾ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು ಸರ್
Okay.
ಪ್ರೈಸ್
Now let's come to
ಹೌದಾ
yellow.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್
I hope everybody is clear on
ಯಾವ್ದು
blue. Any
ಗಾಡಿ?
questions on blue?
ಹೌದಾ ಓಕೆ
All right. I'll take silence as no question. Now, if we come to the second one, which is yellow. Now, if I just look at yellow in isolation, if I just look at yellow in isolation, this is 100, this is 50, right? Now, if I look at the insurer share part of layer limit and attachment point, what's my insurer share here?
100%.
100%, right? In terms of amount, what is the amount of that yellow is covering?
50 million.
50 million.
50 million, which is 100 minus 50, right? Because that is the layer limit also. The layer limit, as we mentioned, is topmost point of layer minus attachment point of layer. So it is 100% or 50 million. Part of layer limit is also 50 million, 100 minus 50, and attachment point is, what's the attachment point?
50 million.
50 million, right? So this will be 100% part of 50 million, excess of 50 million, or 50 million part of 50 million, excess of 100 million. Sorry, excess of 50 million. This is what is the right answer for yellow. So if you see here, this one is correct and the rest are wrong. These are the two right answers that you have. The rest of them are incorrect. I hope this gives you a better sense. You don't need to isolate the layer and do it separately. I just did that for ease of understanding. You should be able to look at this and understand and make that decision, right? yellow is starting point is 50 million, so attachment point will always be 50 million for yellow. The layer limit is topmost point minus the starting point or attachment point, so 100 minus 50, so your layer limit will always be 50 million. Now how much is yellow participating in that? Yellow is participating the entire 100%. So 50 million part of 50 million excess 50 or 100% part of 50 million excess 50. Any questions on the blue and the yellow one? If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. Let's do the third one. Now let's do the same exercise for blue and yellow. Who wants to start? Let's start with blue first.
Hundred percent of 100 million excess of 0/2.
What do you mean by 2?
It means like it will be segregated for both, no? So it divides by 2 like that.
You cannot write like that in the policy document, right? You have to follow this format. How do you represent blue in this format? You cannot say divided by 2 in the policy.
Sorry, it's 50% of 100 million. Sorry.
50% of 100 million. Okay. Excess of?
Excess of
50.
so
Excess of 50, excess of 0. So Raghu says 0, right?
yes.
Who mentioned as 50?
Tejashwini.
Okay, Tejaswini. So you are saying it is excess of 50 million, right? So 50 percentage part of 100 million, excess of 50 million. Is this what you were saying?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. Anybody else with a different answer for blue? Maybe try to put, instead of percentage in the insurer share, try to put numbers, amount.
$100 million part of 100 million.
Okay, 100 million part of 100 million.
Excess will be 0. But not sure.
We will discuss the answer, but I just want to get your thoughts as to what you have understood so far and how much more elaborate, how many more examples we need to do. I just want to get a sense of that.
50 million part of 100 million excess of 0.
50 million part of 100 million excess of 0. Okay.
So 50 million part of 100 million excess of 0.
50 million part of 100 million excess of 0. Okay. The same thing what Navneet just mentioned.
Yes.
So Abhishek and Navneet are aligned.
100 million part of 50 million excess of 0.
100 million part of 50 million excess of 0. Okay, Savitri. Any other answer for blue? Alright, so let's understand this first. How many layers are there here in the third diagram?
There is no layers.
No layers.
One single layer, one layer.
Single layer.
It cannot be no layer, it will always be one layer. So it is only one layer, right? Anybody thinks there are 2 layers here? Sorry, my Excel stopped responding. So nobody thinks there are 2 layers here, right? I hope that much is clear. Good. If there is only one layer, in our nomenclature, the layer limit and attachment point will be the same. Agree or disagree?
Yes. Yes.
Since there is only one layer, my layer limit and my attachment point will be the same. Whether it is blue or yellow, layer limit and attachment point will remain the same. What's the layer limit here? What's the
100
topmost?
100 million.
Yeah. What's the topmost point of the layer? It is 100 million. What's the attachment point of the layer?
0.
0. Right? So no matter what you write, your part of will be 100 million excess of 0. The second half of your structure is going to be the same for blue and yellow, because your layer limit and attachment point is the same since it's a single layer. So wherever you see part of 100 million excess of 0, so this one, this one, this one, and this, these three are still valid answers. Right? Because you have part of 100 million excess 0, part of 100 million excess 0, part of 100 million excess 0. These two are incorrect. I hope you understand why these two are incorrect now. It's a single layer. Your layer limit and your attachment point will be the same, because it's not two different layers. It's the same layer, so your layer limit and attachment point will be the same. And in this case, attachment point is 0, layer limit is 100 minus 0. So part of 100 million excess of 0. Any questions so far? Good. Now, blue and yellow are doing 50%, 50%. We have already stated that in the diagram. Right? Blue and yellow are doing 50%, 50%. So when we come to this part, the first part of the nomenclature, insurer share or insurer participation percentage, we have a straightforward answer for participation percentage. It is 50%. Right? Whether it is blue or whether it is yellow, it will be 50% part of 100 million excess of 0. And when you convert that 50% to amount, it will be 50 million part of 100 million excess of 0. These two are your right answers for both blue as well as yellow, because they are identical. Because it's a quota share, their nomenclature will be identical. Because it's a 50% quota share, their nomenclature will be identical. So this one and this one, these two are the right answers that was given earlier. 100 million part of 100 million excess of 0 basically suggests that the entire thing is done by one person, which is same as the first diagram. So if you see this nomenclature and the nomenclature for the first diagram, so that's the reason this is not correct. Because if you mention 100 million part of 100 million excess 0, you are representing the first diagram. You are not representing the third diagram. Right? So I hope this is clear now. These two are the right answer. This will be applicable for both blue and yellow. Questions? Okay. Let's do a very quick one. Just to make your understanding a little bit more clearer. Now, how are you going to write this?
75 million.
part of 100 million excessive.
Sorry, repeat that again, Abhishek.
75% part of 100 million excessive.
This is for which one?
Blue.
Blue. Any other answer for blue?
75 million part of 100 million excess of 0.
Perfect. What would you say for yellow then?
25% of 75, just remove, replace it with 25.
Now is it making a little bit more sense with this example? Everyone is following? If you want me to repeat, I'll be more than happy to repeat this. Okay. This is like the simplest kind of policy structure that you will get. I am starting with a simple one. We will make this more complicated as we go. But if you understand the simple bit first, you will also be able to understand the complicated bits later as well. Any questions? Please feel free to ask if you have anything that you want me to repeat. If you want clarity on anything, I will be happy to repeat it. Okay. All right. So I want to make a couple of notes here, and I want all of you to make that note in your notes as well. Two things that we need to remember whenever we do mud maps, right? Deductible is not part of the mud map. Deductible is not part of the mud map. It is always outside the mud map. Okay, I'll explain that with more examples. And the second thing is, whenever we try to calculate, and this will answer, this will be a segue to basically look at the question that I think it was Amisha, if I'm not mistaken, asked about how the claims will be paid out. So whenever claims is paid out, deductible is considered first, and then policy structure or the mud map comes into picture. I'll explain that with examples, but just make a note of these 2 points. Deductible is always applied first on the loss amount, and then the mud map is always first applied on the loss amount, and then the mud map comes into picture. Please make a note of these 2 points. It's an important point to keep in mind. And I'll also mention a third point, which is not like a rule. It is more of a best practice. We should always try to start the mud map from zero. It gives a more clarity and more holistic picture of the policy structure. So always try to visualize the mud map starting from zero. It just gives you a better visualization and better picture of the whole policy structure. But that's not a rule. That's like a best practice. But these two are kind of rules that you can make a note. Any questions so far? Okay. Now let's look at some examples. So what we will do is we will copy the same thing. Somebody has a question? Prashant?
Sunit, can we take a quick break?
You want to take a quick break?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's come back at 11:50. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. We'll reconvene at 11:50. 50. Back, please raise your hands and keep them raised. Don't drop it.
Kak.
All right. So let's start with our next topic. This is now we will basically see and answer the question that was asked earlier regarding how the claims will be paid out. Right. So remember two things that we just mentioned. The deductible is not part of the mud map, and deductible is always applied first on the loss amount, and then the mud map comes into picture. So let's say this is our this thing, and the loss that happened is there are 5 scenarios that I've paid that I've pasted here, right? I want you guys to think about the claim amount that Blue is going to pay as per this mud map. The first case loss is 100 million, deductible is 100k. 750 million, 10 million in third case, and last case is 110 million, 10 million. So for all the 5 cases, can we try and figure out what is going to be the loss or claim that Blue has to pay? Yes, Amisha, you have your hand raised.
No, by mistake. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Do you guys, how do you want to do this? You want to take like 4-5 minutes, do this on your own in your notebooks or somewhere, or do you want to one by one start discussing it? Any thoughts? No thoughts. Okay. Take a couple of minutes to look at this and try to solve for all the 5 cases. And then maybe in a couple of minutes time we'll start discussing.
$99.9.
99.9. Are you talking about the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming million, right?
Yes.
Anybody else on the first one? Navneet says 99.9.
The rest, all of them will be 100 million.
The rest, all of them, you is going to pay 100 million.
No. For the second one is 100 million. Third one is also 100 million. Fourth one is 0, I think. And then 100 million.
Third one is 90 million, I think.
Third one, sorry. Okay. Any other differences? 50?
And fourth is 0.
Okay, it's same.
And fifth is 90 million.
Good. We don't know which is the right answer, which is the wrong answer. We'll discuss it. I want to hear all the possible answers that you guys are coming up with.
Second one, 249.5 million.
Great.
Limit 800. Sorry.
Third one, 740 million.
740. Right.
Then 0, and then last one, 100 million.
Okay, so we already have 100 and 0. Any different answer for the first one from anyone? Or the fourth one?
First one, 99 million.
99 million. Okay.
Sorry, so insurance is 100 million, right? And the total losses, sorry, I got confused actually.
Okay. You want to change your answer?
I will change my answer. Just one moment.
Okay. Abhishek, I saw you coming off mute. You want to add some answers to the already mentioned ones, different than what is already mentioned.
Just give me a minute. Just take it.
Yeah, take your time.
Second one, 99.5 million.
instead of 249.5.
Correct.
Okay.
Third one again 90 million only. Same with this answer, not 740 million. Last one also 90 million.
90 million. Okay. Good. Okay. Let's start discussing in the interest of time. So remember, I told you these two things are important, right? Deductible is not part of the mud map, and deductible is always applied first on the loss amount, and then the mud map comes into picture. So how do we look at this? See, there over a period of time, you will develop your own way of visualizing mud maps and understanding how the structure works and everything. I will give you the way I always look at it. You can start with that approach, but eventually you are free to develop your own approach, have your own understanding, as long as you understand it correctly and you get to the right answer, right? So how I always look at it is in this way is in sequence, right? So first I will look at what is my loss amount or total loss, which is very clearly given here, right? Then I will talk about applicable deductible. The reason I'm talking about applicable deductible is because deductible is always first applied on the loss and then the mud map comes into picture. So total loss and applicable deductible, if you subtract both of these, will give you something called as claimable amount. Only after the deductible is retained by the insured, right? Amount of loss retained by the insured, the insurer will come into picture to pay the amount. So insurer, from an insurer point of view, we are looking at blue, right? Blue is an insurer. From an insurer point of view, what would be the claimable amount that the insured can claim? Maximum claimable amount that the insured can claim will always be total loss minus applicable deductible. This will always be total loss minus the applicable deductible. Okay? Then we look at policy limit, and then we look at insurer share. So we'll come to the policy limit and insurer share in a minute. But first, let's look at the first three items. What is the total loss in example number 1?
100 million.
100. What is the deductible, applicable deductible?
100K.
So I can write that as 0.1 million.
Yes.
Right? So my claimable amount becomes 99.9 million. Okay? Deductible is 100K, which is equivalent to 0.1 million. So my deductible claimable amount becomes 99.9 million. Agree? Now I will look whether my policy limit is more than the claimable amount or less than the claimable amount. So if policy limit is greater than claimable amount, then insurer will pay the claim, right? Up to whatever the share is, as per their share. But if policy limit is less than the claimable amount, then insurer will pay as only up to policy limit. Make sense? So in this case, my policy limit is how much?
100 million.
100 million. Right? And insurer share is also 100%, so which is basically 100 million. So in this example, and another way to look at it is always look at the claimable amount line, right? Draw the claimable amount on the mud map. if I have to draw the claimable amount on the mud map, and this is not to scale, but just imagine if I have to draw the claimable amount line on the mud map, it would be somewhere here. Agree? If the topmost part, it's not to scale, so don't go by scale of it. But if the topmost point is 100, something just below it will be 99.9 million. Yes or no? Are you guys able to follow? What I am doing here is, at least I hope claimable amount is easy to understand. My loss is 100 million, my deductible is 100K, so my claimable amount that the insured can claim is 99.9 million. Till here, is it clear?
Yes, Sumit.
Okay. Now what I am doing is, I am drawing the claimable amount on the mud map. My mud map starts from 0, goes up to 100. Where will 99.9 feature in the mud map? It will be just below 100.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's assume this line that I've drawn is the 99.9 million line. Right? Anything below that line will be payable by blue. Anything above that line will not be payable by blue. Why? Because the claimable amount is the maximum amount that the insured will get. See, this mud map is drawn for the insured, right? Anything above the claimable amount line, which is in this example basically the deductible, will be retained by the insured. Blue will only focus on everything below the claimable amount line. So what is this green section? Starting from 0, going up to 99.9. So this is 99.9 million. Make sense? So blue will end up paying 99.9 million. I hope it is clear. If it is not clear, please let me know. I will repeat it. Okay. Let's do one more example. Maybe that will help further. $250 million is my total loss, right? What is my deductible?
500. Yeah.
500. Can I write that as 0.5 million? So what becomes my claimable amount?
100 million.
No, claimable amount is still 249.5 million, right? My policy limit is 100 million. So this is the second case, right? Policy limit is less than the claimable amount. So the insurer will pay only up to policy limit. So if I had to draw let's say a 250 million line here, just for the sake of representation, right? Let's say this is 250 million, right? Obviously 250 million will be above 100 million. Or maybe this is 249.5, not 250, because that's my claimable amount. So again, this section that we see here will not be covered. This is the section, my bad. This is the section that will be covered. Agree? Because this small section is beyond the policy limit. Right? It's like you purchase a medical insurance of 5 lakh rupees. Your deductible is, let's say, 50,000. Now your hospital bill is 10 lakhs. The insurance company is not going to pay you the 10 lakh, right? Because your health insurance limit was 5 lakhs. And they also have a deductible of 50,000. So they will only pay you 4.5 lakh. The remaining bill is your responsibility to pay. That's the same example extrapolated over here, right? The insured purchased an insurance policy of up to 100 million, but they had a loss of 250 million. So the insurance company will remove the deductible from the loss amount, and then they will pay the remaining of the amount. So below the claimable amount of 249.5 million, up until the policy limit, insurance company, which is blue in this case, is not going to pay anything because they are not liable to pay. The policy does not cover that area. Policy covers this area. This is what the insurance company is going to pay. Does this make sense? How much eventually the insurance blue will pay?
100 million.
100 million.
Blue will pay 100 million. Again, deductible is always applied on the loss amount first, and then the mud map comes into picture. So that's the reason we are determining the claimable amount and then drawing the mud map on the claimable amount. The next example, again, it is pretty straightforward. Now the claimable amount is 740, which is even higher than this. It will be the same pattern, right? From 100 up to 740, AIG is not going to pay. Blue is not going to pay. Below 100, blue is going to pay. Arjun, you had your hand raised.
Sunit, in the second example, if deductible is applied if deductible is applied first and then the claim amount comes into picture, wouldn't it incentivize all of them to take a higher limit than what they are looking for? Because anyway, the deductible would cross that, right?
If you take a higher limit, you have to pay higher premiums also, right?
Like what I meant to ask is, take a lesser limit. If I expect my loss to be higher, and if I take a lesser limit,
so
always.
This entire section of 149 million is now borne by the client. Because
but I would always know that, let's say I always know that it won't be a loss at all. I won't cross a 100 million mark. Let us say I know that always. And I say I want 250 million as the thing. And deductible is always minused within that. So they would always have to pay me 100 million.
So there are two things to this, right? And a valid question. If my TIV, so one thing that you have to understand is my loss cannot be more than the TIV. All of you know what the TIV is, right? There is no possibility that you will have a loss which is more than your TIV. Agree?
Yes.
Right? So whenever insurance companies buy policies, they will not buy a policy limit which is more than the TIV. If my TIV is 200 million, I will not go and buy 250 million policy. Insurance company will not give only. Because why are you asking for 250 million when your TIV is 200 million? Right? They can definitely ask for a lower limit. So if my TIV is 200 million, I can ask for 150 million car. It's like car insurance or bike insurance, right? You have that IDV, right? Your value of the car. If you have a car of 10 lakh rupees, you cannot put IDV as 50 lakhs. There is a maximum limit that you can put to it. Because you cannot have a loss which is more than that amount. So to your point, that will not happen. Because, now if you say that I have a 100 million location and I am 100% sure that I cannot have a loss of more than 20 million, then you go and buy 20 million limit. But you cannot say that I have a 50 million location and I want a 100 million limit. That's not reasonable because you cannot have a loss of 100 million on a 50 million location.
Like what if my property value is 100 million and I'm sure that my loss will not cross more than 10 million?
Buy a limit of 10 million.
Let's say I take a policy with limit of 12 million and they say the deductible amount is 2 million. Let's say they do that. So, like they will always have to pay me 10 million, right?
Yes, yes.
So you're telling me that since I've taken 12 million as the coverage limit amount, then I pay up extra premium, so that adjusts for the higher thing in total. Okay, got it.
But you are under the assumption that your loss will never cross 10 million, right? Because maybe you are maintaining the property very well. There is absolutely 100% security. There is no hazard. Nothing is there. Fine, possible. But someday that can also reach that 10 million mark if, let's say, there is an earthquake and it's a total demolition, an earthquake of 9 on the Richter scale. What are you going to do? So that's why TIV is the benchmark. If your worth of the property is X, you cannot have lost more than X. Unless you have reported your TIV incorrectly, which then is a different story altogether. But assuming that everything that is reported on the SOV is correct, you cannot have a loss more than that. Okay, yeah, good question. I hope everybody followed the discussion. If you have any other question on that similar topic, please feel free to come off mute and ask.
Hi, Sunit.
Yes.
It's Mahalakshmi here. I have a doubt regarding the first case. If policy limit is greater than the claimable amount, then insurer will pay as per their share. So insurer's share is 100%, right?
Yes.
Are they not supposed to pay full 100 million? Because the green part is only till like 99.9. I'm a bit confused there.
No, so how can an insurer pay more than the claimable amount? If my loss is, let's say, 20 million, I'm just giving an example. My loss is 20 million.
Okay.
I remove the deductible, it becomes 19.5 million. That's well within my policy limit. Now, I'll not be generous enough and go and pay 20 million. Right? I will only pay 19.5 because that's my claimable amount. See, you cannot pay more than the claimable amount because deductible is something that the insured has to retain.
Okay.
Okay. So even though the claimable amount is less than your limit, you will not pay up to your limit. You will pay only up to the claimable amount. Akash, you had your hand raised. You wanted to ask something?
No. Like by mistake only.
Okay. Mahalakshmi, I hope it is clear.
Yes.
Okay. Any other question? Good. We'll do a couple more examples. It will make things more clearer, right? Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's do the third one. We did the 750. 10 million is the claimable amount, applicable deductible. 740 is the claimable amount. Same example as 240 million. Blue will pay 100 million. Right? The second and the third example are the same. I mean, the amount is different, but it's the same logic. It's way beyond your policy limit. Fourth one, I think most of you mentioned 0. Your claimable amount, total loss is 5 million, claimable amount is 5 million, applicable deductible is 5 million. So you do not have anything to claim. So definitely blue will pay 0. There is nothing to pay. The last one, 110 million is the loss. Applicable deductible is 10 million. So your claimable amount becomes 110. Claimable amount becomes 100 million, which is equal to your policy limit. You will continue to pay that. Right? I'll just twist this with another example. Let's say this is, I'll add one more example, and let's say the deductible here is 20 million. Now what do you think blue will pay?
90 million.
90 million, right? Everyone understood why blue will pay 90 now? if I do one more and I just make this as, instead of let's say this is 80 million and my deductible is 20 million, how much will blue pay now? How much?
60 million.
60 million? Everyone agrees? Anybody has any questions on these examples? I am very much happy to repeat, but I hope you get the gist of it.
Hi, Sunit.
Yes,
Can you
Tejas.
please repeat about deductible on based on what it is deducted? I'm a bit confusing about that.
So you understand what is a deductible, right?
Oh, yes, Sunit.
Deductible is the amount of loss that will be retained by the insured. So let's take this example. Let's say I have got $110 million loss and my deductible is 20 million. So if I put $110 million loss and a deductible of 20 million, my claimable amount comes up to 90 million, right? So forget about map, forget about everything else. I have a policy of 100 million, a deductible of 20 million. The loss that happened was 110 million. Correct? 20 million deductible will be applied to the loss first because insurance company is not going to pay the deductible amount, right? Deductible is something that I, as the owner of the property, will have to retain. So with a total loss of 110 million, I have to retain 20 million with myself. So how much am I left with?
90 million.
90 million. That is the amount that I can claim to the insurance company. Right? Now, when I claim that 90 million to the insurance company will see what is their limit, what is their participation, and according to that, which is basically the mud map, they will apply the mud map on that 90 million claim amount and pay pay me. In this example, the policy limit is 100 million. The attachment point is 0, layer limit is 100 million, policy limit is 100 million, 100% participation. So 90 million is what the insurance company is going to pay me because I purchased a policy of 100 million. Even though my loss was more than 100 million, it was 110 million, but my deductible was 20 million. So I can only get 90 million. I'm not going to get the full 100 million. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, Sunit.
Because that deductible, the deductible needs to be retained by the insured. That's the whole concept of deductibles. You retain the deductible amount, then from your total loss, you remove the deductible amount. Whatever is left is your claimable amount. And then on the claimable amount, we will then look at the mud map, look at the policy structure, and determine who is going to pay what.
Okay, Sunit, got it.
Okay. Any other question?
Sunit, I want to clarify regarding the first case, one more point. So 99.9 million is going to be covered entirely by the insurer, right?
Yes.
Then that red cell right there, is that what is supposed to be covered by the client themselves?
Yes, that's the deductible.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Right. Okay. I am going to now add few more examples here, and I want you guys to go back and try and attempt this for tomorrow's session. Right? I want you to write the policy structure and then I want you to write how much loss AIG is going to pay. I'll share this file again, as I told you earlier. Download the copy of this file, and then you can work on these examples. Deductible is not part of the mud maps. That is why deductible is written at the bottom. Is the assignment clear?
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, let's do all this and we'll discuss this tomorrow. All right. Please go back and work on this. In all of these cases, you also need to write the nomenclature, right? How this would look like on a document. So 3 examples are there, example 2, 3 and 4. Just go back and work on that, and then we will discuss this tomorrow. All right. Any questions? Cool then. Let's wrap up. Tomorrow we'll connect at 10:30 again, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to finish this.